Welcome to Feel the Heat, a 5 Reasons Sports Network Miami Heat podcast. Hosted by Allana Tachauer and Michael Christian. This is your one-stop listen for all things Miami Heat culture, past, present, and future, on and off the court.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 20 of Feel the Heat. I need to start this off today by telling you that Michael has subjected me to EDM for the last few minutes, and there's little I hate more. So, Michael, where did this love for EDM come from, and why did you force this upon me?
I never said I loved EDM.
You were getting really excited.
Secondly, I'm not even sure it was EDM.
It's close enough.
It might have been house music, which is a different thing.
Fine, it's close enough for me to still hate it.
It was Mark. I think his name is Rebelet. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's very complicated. It seems French or something. I don't know.
Ricky, help us out.
Yes, please. It's Rebillet. I think his name, and his name is Mark with a C at the end, which is one of those things. Like no, it's just Mark.
Mask.
I'm sorry. One last time.
Mask.
Okay, we can just talk basketball now because I don't know what to do with this. Like, can you say baguette right? Is that what I'm
baguette? Croissant.
And it's just bread.
Damn it! Now I want to go to France.
Have you been? It's pretty nice.
I have. I've been twice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alan.
We
were actually supposed to go. I think like sometime August, September, but COVID's still a thing, and Alan's a busy man.
I was supposed to go to Japan April 2020, and that kind of blew up. So
can't imagine why.
COVID sucks.
Actually, though, that is a good transition for us to just slightly touch upon Team USA, because I can't remember when the last game was, but I don't think we really wrapped up on this topic.
Oh, I see what you just did, right? Because Team USA basketball won the gold medal.
Correct.
USA, the country, is the leader in COVID cases, even though it's also a leader.
No, you said
I see
Japan,
what you did,
but that's fine.
No, I see what you did. That's a really good transition. That's smart.
I think my actual transition is better.
Mine was a little better too. So, but Team USA won. Did you watch? Look, Team USA won. It's one of those things that I am happy for them. I am glad that they won, but it felt like it was the only acceptable outcome.
I agree, which is weird, and I don't know why we're starting off this episode in agreement.
Gross. I just look. Popovich, there was a clip that was going on Twitter today. I don't know if you saw it, about Popovich in the post-game locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Love the energy there, right? At the very end, he's like, all you media people, look at us now, right? Like, who's saying anything now that we won the gold? Love the energy. Great. Do it. You had to win gold. There was nothing else that was acceptable. And again, they performed well. Kudos to them. They did what they had to do, and it was not easy. But if they had come away with silver and lost to Rudy Gobert,
great embarrassment,
and Evan Fournier, who is probably in my top 3 most hated players in the NBA.
Top 3?
Yeah, listen, Fournier just pisses me off.
Who are your other 2?
Man, that's tough. Kuzma's up there.
Oh,
right?
Come on.
But you know what? I wish him the best of luck in the Chinese Basketball League. And then the other player is between Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart.
I should have guessed Middleton.
Yeah. Do you have a top 3 hated
top
NBA
3
players? Oh,
Blake
you definitely
Griffin is
do.
my number 1.
Why? What did he do?
I can't even look at his face. It makes me throw up in my mouth.
Okay.
Straight up.
We won't dig into that.
I don't think I have a 2 or 3 really. I'd have to think about it. Who have you heard me complain about?
A lot of people, but only when it comes to their potential Heat like affiliation.
Right, them joining the team.
Like, okay, let's talk about this. Well, we can talk about that one later. We do have a thing set up for that one later. So
because of my glorious rundown.
It's a bunch of words typed up on bullet points.
I am not letting you say that. You know my rundown slap.
I think they're good. I don't think a rundown can slap.
Oh, anything I do can slap.
I don't.
I should probably warn listeners that it's my birthday week, and in peak Leo form, I am more insufferable than usual.
I don't think so. I think this is pretty on average.
It's only Monday, Michael.
That's true. I've still
I
got jet
got
lag.
a long week ahead.
It is going to be rough times, and you are going to just live in it. And
Absolutely.
to anybody listening to this pod, I'll just say it now. This pod comes out on Tuesday morning. So Tuesday, August 17th at 8 p.m. on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel, we're going to have a stream for Feel the Heat. We're going to have a crap ton of people on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't come in there and roast/praise Allana, I will be very upset. Okay?
I too will be very upset.
But it needs to be both parts. It needs to be praise and roasting.
Oh, I can take it. I can dish it and I can take it.
Debatable, but no, I'm proud of you for thinking you can. Confidence,
some
right?
Comments
Confidence
I don't like will
key.
get you blocked right away, but some of y'all already know that.
And you have producer power now.
A good amount of y'all.
What? You think you've blocked our listeners? That's not nice. I like our listeners. You see,
I don't like some of our commenters.
I don't like some of the comments.
That's true. And I have gotten a few DM apologies, which I do appreciate. So I'll give people second chances.
Yeah, don't go after our listeners. I love you. Okay. Maybe you haven't heard that today. I love you guys. All right. Really. Allana may not, but I do. And I hope that everything in your lives is going great. Just like Team USA that won the gold. See how
wow, you really wrapped that up. The only thing I really want to point out is I feel like Bam had more of an impact than the box score showed. I think he averaged like 6.3 points and 5.7 rebounds, but he seemed to really make a difference out there. Just both in obviously morale standpoint, but just as a facilitator. So props to him. I'm excited to see what he's going to look like, obviously, this upcoming season. The other thing is, though, he did not even attempt a single three. Do we think Heat Twitter is going to be mad about that if that continues?
Well, if they were mad about it, I missed it, right? If they're watching the Olympics, I'm like, why isn't he shooting a 3-point ball?
Do you think if he doesn't start chucking up threes that they're going to be mad this upcoming season? Because there was a narrative going on the end of last season talking about Bam needs to progress in this way and that way. And a big part of it was that he needs to step up his 3 game, but I don't think he cares that much. And I think he's trying to work on other things.
I don't care where he kind of takes a step forward to, start being a little bit more aggressive on offense and score more baskets, right? That can be in the paint. That can be mid-range. That can be from the 3. It can be off of more alley-oops. Now that Kyle Lowry is here, I think that should happen for more. I don't care how he does it. I just want to see him look at the rim more. And I think that's what most people were asking for. To anybody saying, oh, he has to get a 3-point shot or else it's a failure, that's ridiculous. If he goes out there and averages 22, 23 points per game, I don't care if he doesn't take a single 3 the entire season. I'm happy with that. I just want him to be a bit more aggressive with it. Do I think some people will be upset? Sure. But if he reaches those averages right around 20 points per game, 22 points per game, I think people will be just fine and be happy with what he's doing.
No, I completely agree. And I don't I've been saying this. I don't think that should be his priority anyway. If it comes, it comes. And if it's a few years down the line, then great. But I don't think that's what he needs to be focusing on. So
yeah, I think they can pair him with another big that can shoot a 3. There's been a lot of talk about Omer. And we'll touch on him later because, we're going to talk about Summer League and everything. But he can shoot the 3-point ball. I mean, if they find a way to trade for the GOAT Vucevic, he can shoot a 3-point ball too.
The GOAT?
Yes, the GOAT.
You were just going to slide that in there and think I wasn't going to call you out?
Well, the actual GOAT's Victor Oladipo, obviously. But the GOAT of bigs is...
Michael rolled his eyes when he said that. When he said obviously. Obviously.
Well, yeah, because obviously the GOAT is Victor Oladipo.
Right.
Jersey I proudly wore in Las Vegas. But
I'm so happy for
nobody
you.
Gave me a high fives or a thumbs up. I don't even think people really noticed it. I was kind of offended.
I'm sorry for you.
That doesn't seem genuine. Please move us on to the next topic before I start crying.
The next topic is somewhat still free agency, and I just want to touch upon this. What are your personal thoughts on bringing UD back? Because let me tell you, I have never seen a dumber conversation take place on Heat Twitter. And I've seen some pretty bad ones this season. So let's hear your thoughts, because I actually don't know how involved you got.
Listen, other than I think I tweeted out Heat Twitter seems like a fun place today when it was
You
like
did.
near
I
its
saw this
peak.
shit. If y'all haven't picked this up by now, Michael is sneaky savage. You don't see it at first, but the more you get to know him and the more you read between the lines, it's savage to a T.
It's just people got so like personally offended for whatever side they were on in this UD situation.
Mhm. And really felt the need to tell other people how to feel.
Yeah, like I understand both sides, and I think there's valid arguments for both, genuinely. I
would agree, but I think that's actually kind of what made it dumber to me is that both sides are right and it's an opinion.
Right.
Let's just leave it at that.
Could the Heat, who are lacking depth in certain areas due to players either not being available until later in the season or you just not being comfortable with other players playing a lot of minutes right away, could they have used that last spot to get somebody that you'd be more comfortable getting more playing time? Yes. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense to me. And this is where I'll say, look, if you believe that, good for you. Go ahead and believe it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. For myself, I am a stan. I'm a truther. I'm a very, you deserve what you want after you've done the time, after you've put in the effort, after you've done everything you can. And UD is the life and blood of Miami sports now. Miami hasn't really had that identity since maybe Dan Marino. Obviously, Dwayne Wade was a lot of that, right? But then you always kind of knew like Dwayne loved the city. Dwayne was all about the city. Dwayne embodies Miami Heat culture super well, but Dwayne wasn't really from Miami. And you always knew he was going to go and move on to other things. There was kind of talks of him going into ownership that obviously didn't work out. UD just screams 305. He was born and raised there. He understands the culture. He gets where things come from. And he's worked his ass off ever since he started playing basketball. I mean, UD was one of the fattest basketball players I've ever seen back in his University of Florida days. Right? And he went and he worked his ass off to lose that weight. He went and played in Europe. And I listened to the Long Shot pod and he mentioned something that I didn't know, that when he was in Europe playing basketball, he was on an American schedule. So he would sleep during the morning and the day and then go and then like work out and stuff at night because he didn't want to get off the American schedule so that when he came back to work to try to get back into the NBA, he would be ready for it. If UD walks through that door and says, I want to come back for another year, I'm not ready to retire, you give him the contract and you don't ask any questions. That is my opinion. I think he's deserved at least that. And his presence on the bench is just so crucial. And I saw it firsthand in Summer League where he was talking to guys, the way he was talking to look, I'm just, you got to sign him. You got to bring him back until he says, I'm done. I'm hanging it up. That seat is his and you don't give it up to anyone else.
No, I completely agree. I think there's absolutely nobody that matches UD. He's literally one of one. And even though I can understand logistically why people might be upset, because to your point, there are voids that need to be filled. And let's be real, he's not really doing much on the court if he's going to do anything at all. But to me, that's just not the point. I've always been more about the culture than the X's and O's. And so I honestly was a little bit shocked at how many people were opposed to it. I feel like this is the first year where people were that vocal. I'm not saying they're wrong. And again, I do understand the reasoning behind it. But to me, getting into an all-out Twitter war about who's right and who's wrong, it made no sense to me. We have bigger fish to fry as a team. I mean, to me, I expected him to come back. It was no surprise. I don't know why people were so shocked. So I don't know. To me, it was one of those things that it's like done and done. Let's keep it moving. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier, and good for him. But I mean, we all know how I feel about certain parts of Heat Twitter. So,
well, and especially when you see that the team is improving and you've got new guys coming in and you've got guys like PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris that are coming in who are dogs, right? They play hard-nosed basketball, but they don't know Heat basketball necessarily. Right. UD is going to be able to kind of translate that for them. UD is going to be able to kind of let them know like, hey, listen, you want to go out there and get a hard foul on a guy because he hit Jimmy or because he hit Kyle or Bam or something, go do it. Here's how you're going to go do it. Right. You want to sacrifice for your brothers, which is what UD has done basically his entire career. he's going to be able to tell them that. And
He's
if there's
basically a culture coach.
exactly, and if they're not listening to him, they're not going to listen to anybody, because UD has been through everything the past 20 years in the NBA. Like, he's seen the changing of the guard. He's seen you guys come in. He's seen guys flame out. He's seen what works, what doesn't work. If they don't go to him, if they don't accept his advice, then that's on them, and it's just not going to work out anywhere. And I think until this team feels ready to transition from UD, which I don't think they're there yet, apparently. I mean,
they're not going to be there until he's ready, and he's not ready. So they're letting him come back, and that's just how it's going to be until he's ready to hang it up.
And that's how it should be, in my opinion. And I think the Heat did the right thing. And I had a great time watching him yell at people from the bench during basically the entire summer league.
I wish you could have gotten that, like, just wire him up just for even you to hear. Like, the rest of us don't need to hear that magic. As long as it was in your ears, I would have been so happy for you.
Would have been amazing. But, you know, we, in talking about UD, we've mentioned, you know, a lot of that is the depth with the Heat, the depth that they're facing, or the lack of, right? That some people are thinking there's some positions, hey, do the Heat really have what it takes in the second or third in that position? And one such position is the point guard position. So Kyle Lowry is there, and Kyle Lowry is the starter, no questions asked. But God forbid Kyle goes down, or the minutes that Kyle's not playing, I mean, who really is that backup point guard? Gabe Vincent has come out and said that he's ready for it. Do you feel comfortable with Gabe Vincent in that role? Do you think he's ready for that role? And if not, what do you think the team should do with it?
I am not necessarily comfortable with Gabe Vincent being our only plan, but I also don't think there's another choice right now. So I'm just going to choose to have faith in him and see what happens. I think he looked good in a few of the Nigeria games that I watched, but obviously that's a completely different beast. Obviously, defensively, he's there. I just don't know if I trust the talent gap between what Lowry is going to bring and what he's going to bring. And I feel like we need to stack that second unit up in a way that, you know, we take that into account. A lot of times I feel like what happens, and I feel like this somewhat happened last season too, is we'd come out strong, and then once the rotation started and the lineup started shifting, we would lose all momentum. And I'm just a little bit afraid of what happens when he's in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see the talent gap, and that's not a knock on Gabe Vincent as much as it is praising Kyle Lowry and how good he is, or we hope he will be for this team. I do want to shout out friend of the pod, which is a fun thing to say, right? We haven't said that yet, but I really like friend of the pod. It's kind of fun. Gadiel Cartagena. So he tweeted out, and he made a good point. He mentioned, you know, what if Gabe Vincent had played Summer League, right? He didn't, because he was just coming back from the Olympics. They probably wanted to see what else they had. But what if Gabe Vincent had played, right? Assume he would have done well. I mean, he just came off of playing in the Olympics where he was playing better talent. So let's just say he goes out and he has maybe half of the way that Max Strus played, for example. And he showed a bit more playmaking, right? He had plenty of assists, which a lot of those assists could have come to either Omer, who no one could throw an alley-oop to. For some reason, nobody knew how to give him the ball in the post or throw him an alley-oop, it felt like, for most of the time. It was maddening. Gabe Vincent really could have done that. And he comes out, he shows some of these playmaking skills. He does the defensive thing that we all know he can do. Maybe we're all sitting here thinking, oh, him as the backup point guard? Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with it. Do you think if he would have played, we would have felt different?
I mean, I can understand why some people might think that. And I do think that if their only concern is him as his own entity and not being sure of what he can do, then yeah. But like I said, I think my bigger concern is that once Lowry comes out, the talent level, and to your point, this is not a knock on him, but let's be honest, there's no comparison. I'm just more scared of what that second unit is going to look like in comparison to the first. It's less about Gabe Vincent and what he has shown us, because I think we haven't even started to see what he can do. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of playing time in the regular season. The Olympics, like I said, are a different beast. He didn't play in summer league. So I'm not really concerned about, have we seen everything he has to offer? I don't think so. I think we've seen a glimpse into his stronger defense. I think he can give more. We haven't really gotten much of a chance to kind of feel him out as a playmaker or even just a straight shooter. My thing is, though, I just would have liked someone with a bit more prestige and like just higher caliber basketball and more experience, to be frank, to back Lowry. But like I said, we're going to have holes. They're not totally fixed yet. I've been saying this from the get, and I think Greg is the other person that has been kind of echoing this. I would be shocked if we didn't do something at the trade deadline, and I'm not saying it's going to be some huge move. Not saying we're going to walk away with Dame or Beal. I just think there's more to come, and maybe that is what we're going to focus on.
And I think part of it too is if things work out for the best, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a huge fan of his, if things work out for the best and Oladipo comes back and Depot's healthy, he is probably that backup point position.
I can agree with that.
He is probably the one that comes in and plays those minutes. And then you have him playing alongside Tyler Hero, who then doesn't have to control the ball as much, which I think all of us would say we would feel much more comfortable with that. You have either Dedmon or your 7 coming in as the backup center, right? Probably Markieff Morris, because I don't think Markieff will start. I think PJ Tucker will start. And if PJ Tucker doesn't, right, you can just flip flop them. And then you have one more player, maybe a Max Strus you put out on the floor. Maybe if you want to go smaller at that point, you could put Gabe Vincent in and he doesn't have to handle all those point guard duties. Having Depot back healthy, I think unlocks a lot of that. And I think the Heat might kind of be waiting to see what happens with him. And if they see, okay, this isn't working or he's not going to be healthy, unfortunately, then they'll do something at the trade deadline. So honestly, I agree with you, but at the same time, I think they have a plan and they're just for now comfortable enough with Gabe Vincent to say, take it until they feel like, no, this isn't good enough. Let's go do something else with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be crazy for any of us to think the Heat are just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. I do think they're very intentional about the decisions they make. With that said, they're also realistic about what they have to work with. But I do think that Depot is going to be an X factor in not only obviously what he can provide, but if it doesn't work out and seeing what they need to do at the trade deadline. It's going to be interesting to see when he actually comes back, because I know at first reports are saying November, that changed to December, and now the latest I think is January. So it's really in flux there. I don't know if it really matters. I think, between December and January, there's not that much of a difference there, but we will see when he gets back, and I'm sure you're anxiously awaiting it.
I think the key is to just not rush him. I don't think, look, if this team without Victor Oladipo cannot win regular season games, then there's a much deeper problem with this team that Victor Oladipo cannot solve, right? They need to figure out ways to win games without him, especially considering, again, I hope nothing happens, but considering the history that he does have, right? If that's what they're waiting on to lead them to victories, I don't think they put their chips in the right spot. And I don't think that's what they're doing. So to me, look, if they don't want to bring him back until mid-February, because that's just when they feel most comfortable, then don't bring him back until mid-February. Do what you feel like is best so you can make sure you have him. Because I do think he can help this team a lot, but everything hinging on him just doesn't make a lot of sense. But there are other point guard options, right? Potentially. Two that I'm sure you're just completely
one I'm
with.
Fine with, the other I will riot till the cows come home,
right? Because all of us have farms where our cows go out somewhere and then they come home.
Might mention us, tweet us if you have a farm
with cows, specifically cows that have to then come home.
I feel like most farms have cows.
What if it's a chicken farm or a pig farm? Sad. Why does that make you? Why does a cow farm not make you sad?
No, well, I don't eat beef and I don't eat pork. So like,
well, somebody does, so the cows are gonna die. That's
okay, but I don't. Like yesterday I was grilling chicken and for a moment I was like, Allana, this is alive. And I'm like, nope, I can't do this because I will turn vegetarian if I think too much about it. I don't want to think about a chicken farm. Unless maybe they don't kill the chickens. Maybe they're just using their eggs. I love eggs.
I don't even remember what we were talking about. Oh, I know what we were talking about. You're excited about the potential of signing Patrick Beverley, but you're really bummed about Rajon Rondo. That's what you were saying, right?
Flip that one, and then you would be correct.
Oh, so you're ecstatic about potentially signing Patrick Beverley and incredibly bummed about signing Rajon Rondo.
I think we already went over this on one pod.
Did
Pat Bev can stay far, far away from South Florida.
Pat Bev should not have left South Florida. You know it to be true. Okay. I'm gonna go Star Wars dark side. Search your feelings. You know it
I
to
don't
be
even
true.
know what that means.
Well, somebody will. It's a Star Wars line. Just would you just stop? Okay.
What is that power? The power, may the power be with you.
May the power be with you.
May the force be with you. I got there.
Yes, because that's the same as may the power be with you.
Force and power are similar words.
But they what? But it's before I just go
Michael's
off on a whole
very upset with
tangent.
me
Like,
right now.
oh, incredibly upset with you.
Yeah, it looks like his head is gonna explode.
You make me sort of. You know what? Just because of that, I hope they sign Patrick Beverley.
You want them to sign Patrick Beverley anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, it fits who they've been signing.
No.
Yes, it
Do
does.
not compare. We're gonna get into the same argument that we got into last time.
It fits who they've been
There's
signing.
dog, and then there's Tasmanian devil, which is what I see him as.
Somebody tweeted this out. I don't remember who it was. I'd like to give the credit, but I don't. But they mentioned they're like, might as well sign Patrick Beverley and complete
A lot of people
the
were
building
tweeting that out. Doesn't make
and
it correct.
complete the building of the most annoying team in the NBA
No,
because that's what they're doing.
No, Tasmanian devil, dog.
Let's be honest. Between Patrick Beverley's defense, which is
You mean him running around and just waving his arms in people's faces?
you do not think he's good at defense. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think he's a nuisance.
You don't think Patrick Beverley is good at defense?
I don't like his defensive style. No, I think he is efficient in what he does, but I hate what he does.
Okay, you don't like the way he does it, but he does it well and he gets it done.
But I don't want that on our team.
Well,
I don't want to watch that.
Listen, he was with the Heat back in the day, and he was with them for summer league, and then they decided to cut him
for
they didn't keep
reason.
him. No, they messed up. And looking back,
they did.
Most people in that Heat organization would have said we should have kept Patrick Beverley.
Riley does not make mistakes.
I think we need to move on to something else because I don't want to slander Patrick Riley, but doesn't make mistakes is a jump.
Does not make mistakes.
I think even Patrick Riley would tell you he's made mistakes. 100%.
Only to appease you. Only because he's a good golden soul.
Please transition us to the next topic because I don't think I'm in the right
I'm
headspace.
just gonna go ahead into Summer League and I want you to shine. Unlike KZ, that's what we'll start with. What is going on with KZ?
Listen, first of all, that's really mean that you're just picking on KZ like that.
I'm not picking on him, but the boy is going through something. I think it's mental. I honestly think that the Heat should call my best friend Patrice, fly her out and get some help. She's a sports psychologist. She could work wonders on KZ and then all would be well. I do not think it's a raw talent problem, nor do I think it's a disinterest, nor do I think it's a lack of understanding what he's supposed to be doing. I think there's some weird mental block happening and someone needs to fix him.
I think he is a second round prospect that the Heat were absolutely in love with and were willing to give up a lot to get him that has not panned out in the slightest.
You don't think that his regression is very sudden and just unexpected?
Okay. And you see, that's where
he
I
was
think
not great. I'm not trying to say he went from
I think
a great
that's where
player.
you and I are going to differ. I wouldn't
No,
call
I'm
this...
not, but I'm not saying that. My thing is that at this point, he should either stay stagnant or be getting better. He's unplayable.
Here's the tough thing with KZ. Last preseason, he blows up in that game. I think it was against the Pelicans. It was against somebody.
Remember what I did yesterday, so don't ask me.
He hit a couple corner threes. It was working for him. The defense was looking good. And I was on the train that said start KZ Okpala at power forward. I still think they should have done that. Regardless of how he's played, I still think they should have done that because I think it would have been just as good as Mo Harkless. But
I wouldn't have gotten to see that face.
Yeah, it would have been better for everybody. So I think they should have
If
played
someone
him.
wants to get me a Mo Harkless something for my birthday, I'm not going to be opposed.
I'm sure if 10 people already sent you something Mo Harkless for your birthday.
My Venmo is my first and last name.
How are they going to send you an item?
Well, you
through
can
Venmo?
Venmo me money for a specific item, and I
No,
will
that's
go
not the
purchase it.
same. That's like a gift
But
card.
otherwise, I have to give them my address.
Yeah, that's what's weird. Get a PO box. You're famous now.
I use someone else's address as my PO box, to be honest. So if you need a place to send me something, I've got you.
This is gonna go sideways real fast. KZ, you're right. He is unplayable right now. He has all of the tools that you'd want, right? He's tall. He's got good length. He plays good defense sometimes.
He played.
Yeah.
It's all gone now.
I just don't know what happened because you're right. Like at one point in that preseason, he looked decent. And then as the season went along, it just didn't work out. Then I remember there was one game against the Brooklyn Nets, and Jimmy was out. KZ got a decent amount of playing time, and he was very much contributing to a solid defense, but it looked like the game never slowed down for him. He was overrunning a lot of things on defense. On offense,
he was always a step behind.
He was trying to move way too fast sometimes on offense, and then he was just like throwing passes that didn't work. I just don't get what was happening. And then being at Summer League, here are the things that I came away with concerning KZ Okpala that kind of frustrated me.
Number one, insider info.
During the warm-ups, he was missing dunks, which I get isn't a big deal, but I'm not talking about like he was standing at the three-point line during the layup line and was running in, tried to do a crazy dunk and missed. No, there was a couple that he was standing right underneath the rim, and he would just go up for a two-handed jam, and he would just hit the back iron and bounce out. And I could see it on his face. He looked pissed. He looked very frustrated.
That's what I'm saying. It's all mental.
He had another moment in the games where when he got the ball on fast breaks, he didn't pass it. Right. You could tell he was like, I need to make something happen for myself. I need to score some points, right? Take the cap off of the rim, like make this work. And then he would get fouled and he would miss free throws, or he would commit a foul on the defensive end. And then, Jero Deke, at one point, I'm watching him. He walks over to KZ Okpala and he starts giving him a pep talk. And he starts saying things like, bro, don't worry about it. Keep doing your thing. Just keep your head up. You can't get frustrated.
That's not a good sign.
That is a sign of good leadership from Deke. That is not necessarily a horrible knock on KZ Okpala, who I think, look, everybody needs to get picked up every once in a while, and that's absolutely fine. But the fact that an undrafted rookie playing in his first NBA-like action has to come over to you to pick you up when you're a 30-year veteran who's been through the bubble, who's been through the season after, who kind of should be a little bit further along his development, for that to have to happen, it just feels backwards, right? It should be the other way around. And there was no point in watching the game where KZ Okpala even felt like the fourth best player on the court for the Miami Heat. No. So they've invested a lot in him, and I know it sucks to say, but I think at this point, it's best for both parties to just hang it up and move on. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. And I think the Heat need to look at investing elsewhere, because between Deke and Garrett, I think they should have enough to make up for what KZ Okpala was bringing to the team.
Yeah. And, it might just be an environment thing. Not everyone is meant for the culture. And that's not to say that he's doing anything wrong. It's just, it could be a fit problem. And if that's the case, I do agree. I obviously don't want someone around that we can't play, but I also don't want him to be stifled in his career, and he's not going anywhere now. So I do think that, a mutual parting ways is for everyone's benefit. I don't know who's going to take him and for what, but I would be shocked if he's around the entirety of this upcoming season.
Absolutely. I think like we've said, it's just best for everybody at this point. It just feels that way. Now, if KZ Okpala improves, or they get him some game time and the team believes in him and they give him the minutes and he does improve, look, I'll be happy to be wrong. Very happy to be wrong. I like KZ Okpala. I think if he gets things together, he can contribute a lot to this team. It's just been 3 years now. And with, the age of the rest of our players, right? With the age of our best players, we can't continue waiting, right? We need some of those contributors. And this isn't a UD situation. This is completely different. So with KZ, all the best. I just don't think that for him, that's on the Heat. Now, we got to talk about your boy, right? From up in your part of the world, right? Where they make up whatever time they want. And they're like,
Michael
hey,
acts like Chicago's the only place in Central Time.
it's the only place that matters in Central Time.
Oh, so we matter. That's nice.
Well, because of the amount of people. I
Also,
mean,
because you like Chicagoans.
I don't think I know any like other than you. Dwayne
Right, but
Wade.
that should be enough.
Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade
He's
really
technically
carries
from
the
Robbins,
torch.
Illinois, if we're really going to be
Oh,
honest.
so is this like an Akron to Cleveland thing?
Yeah, I will let it slide for him that he's not technically. Robbins is not Chicago.
I can't believe you're going after Dwayne Wade on a Heat podcast.
I'm
That's disgusting.
I'm keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Well, keep it real with Strussi. What did you think of his play? Because I look, being there in person or watching it on TV.
Got hoops.
Yeah. I just think he's a good player. Like DePaul did great, but I mean Strus is killing it.
I call him that now. I think he had potential, but his improvement, I think, surpassed a lot of people's expectations, at least this quickly. It's clear that he stayed ready. It's clear that he put in the work. I know you were obviously there and saw him in person, but boy looks beefy now. And if that's going to help him take some contact, I'm all for it as long as it doesn't mess up his shot. He also, his sneaker game, he's doing well in that department too. So I'm here for it. I think he's going to have a pretty good season.
I think Strus was also aided by the fact that from the starting lineup, right, that he was mostly playing with, offensively, they couldn't get anything going unless it was him really going. Now, again, Omer Yurtseven is a really good player. He can get a lot of things going, but because he's a post player, a lot of his game, required someone to hit him in the post, to hit him in a good spot. And it felt like they never did that quickly enough, right? Like none of the guards ever came down and hit him in the right spot. So it was really Strus carrying the team. In the game against, who was it that they beat in the double overtime? Was it the Grizzlies? I think it was the Grizzlies because Desmond Bane played that game. Strus was just an animal. Without him, I think I pulled it up. Without him, I think the Heat shot 3 for 20 something from the 3-point line. He was literally all of it. So he carried the team and he did well. And that's something we talked about before with Summer League. We said, what we want to see is for those guys that have been here, they need to step up and they need to look like they're dominating. And him being one of 2 guys that has NBA experience, he dominated, the other one didn't. And I think that's another reason why KZ might have looked so much worse because, Strus looked amazing with basically the same amount of experience. And then KZ looked atrocious. So I think Strus has a spot on this team. And I think he's got a solid rotation spot because he's more than just a spot up shooter. I think he's evolving into a scorer because he can get inside. Do you think Strus has a place in the rotation moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think that they're going to trust him. And not only just because of his raw talent, but like I said, it's very obvious he's putting in the work. I think he's fully committed to the organization. I think he fully buys in to the culture, both on and off the court. So I definitely think they're going to be counting on him a lot. I think this transitions kind of nicely into the next thing I was going to bring up because, as we know, Heat fans tend to put a lot of expectations on players.
No. What? They put expectations on players and then are disappointed when they don't reach the heights.
Same thing is going to happen with Yurt. I'm getting concerned. And I know it's early, but I think he's going to be great. I think he showed a lot of promise already, but he's still young. He still needs to learn the system. And I think to a point you just made, I think he's going to need to broaden his game a little bit because let's be honest, Spo plays positionless ball and traditional pieces don't really have a part or at least a comfortable role within that, at least offensively. So I just don't want to get ahead of myself. I do think it was a great pickup. I think obviously our player development is A1 and that's going to really help him become the player he needs to be. I'm just a little bit concerned that with guys that are a little bit further along, he's going to look not as great, obviously outside of a summer league environment, and fans are going to start to get impatient. And I just want to put the kibosh on that right now.
I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to be what he was in the California Summer League when he reaches the NBA. And I think everybody can admit to that. My one thing with Yurt is his post positioning is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to the best spots and he holds that spot really well. My one concern is he's not the strongest guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that's part of his game too, right? Because he plays a little bit more of a finesse center position. He likes to shoot from outside. So if he really worked on bulking up and getting bigger, I'm sure it would throw off his shot and that wouldn't be great. But I just want him to be able to get a bit stronger for that inside play.
Which I think will come with the training.
Right. And I think it will. And I don't think he's there yet. That's all I'm saying. So I think his transition into the NBA is going to be a little rougher because, you know, a team that has a good size center, they're going to be able to abuse Yurt in the paint. He's got a great knack for blocking the ball. But if he gets pushed down beneath the rim, he's not really going to be able to do much on that. So that's the one place that I'm a little bit concerned with him. But other than that, I mean, he fits the mold, right? He can shoot from outside. He can play inside. He's good at getting blocks. Probably committed a few fouls in summer league that didn't get called just because he was, you know, the star of the team in terms of name and everything. But I think Yurt's going to be fine. I just think expecting him to be a big time contributor right away is a bit premature. I think for now, for me, let Dedmon go out there, especially if you're playing Gabe Vincent, let Dedmon go out there, let him handle the backup center position. Bring in Yurt if you need to for minimal minutes, but I wouldn't have him as second center, not right away.
I'm so excited for the second year of Dedmon.
I think he's going to be good. Yeah. That is one thing I will say though, like Dedmon has a bit of an injury history himself. If Dedmon were to go down, I wouldn't be overly concerned because of Yurt, and I'm glad that they signed him. But yeah, having Dedmon back is going to be crucial from just like a force standpoint in the paint. I think Dedmon's going to be huge for this team.
And you know why I love that we just brought him up?
Why?
He is also a Leo, and it is Leo season, which nicely puts this into a bow and leads us into the live stream on Tuesday.
It does. You didn't talk about Garrett.
I didn't talk about Garrett because I feel like our episodes are running long, but I could be wrong since
that's fine. Yeah, it is running long. And I think we don't have to talk much about him. I think we both agree Garrett needs a contract on the team. He needs a two-way contract.
He oozes our culture already.
To me, he was the third best player. He was the third best player on the team, but he was a standout. You knew what you had with Yurt already. Strus was obviously here to stay. I mean, Garrett looked ready to play defense in the NBA right freaking now. And I'm very excited for that. But birthday stream, are you're excited? I
am hyped, guys. Come out, show some love. You can slander me if you want. Just come out and hang out with us. Like Michael said, there will be a lot of people coming and going. And it should be a good time.
It should be a really great time. We will have a bunch of people from 5 Reasons Sports rotating through. We will roast and praise Allana, and we will also get all of their thoughts on Summer League, as well as the season that's coming up. It's not too far away now. I mean, what are we?
Goodness.
A little over a month, right? I think it starts early October.
Yeah. Yep. Early October.
Ooh, so glad NBA season is coming back. It's going to give us so much more to talk about. Happy Leo season, everybody. And of course, a very happy birthday to everyone else who has birthdays in August, except for Allana. No, I'm just kidding. Allana, happy birthday. How old is it now? 43?
27 again.
Oh, you're 27 again? So you're admitting that you've been 27 before?
I have, at least once.
At least once. Only once, really.
Only once, at least once.
So you're not going to tell the people your age?
27 again.
Okay. You want to hit them with the goodbye?
Good night, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Feel the Heat. Can't get enough of your hosts? Follow Allana at Allana Tachauer, Tachauer, and Michael at Michael5RSN on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe.